Welcome back to another market update report here on our channel Everything Jax Real Estate. In today's market update report, we are going to be breaking down the information for the Mandarin area here in Jacksonville as it relates to the amount of homes in the market, under contract, and sold for October, as well as discuss how price and days on market have changed over the last few months here in the area. So with that being said, when I come back, we're going to go over all that great information. Alright, so we're going to now start to go over the information for the Mandarin area here in Jacksonville for our market update for October. Before we do that, don't forget to like this video, subscribe to our channel, and ring the bell so you get notified when we post more content like this one in the future. We always constantly want to, bring as much information as we can to you, the audience. So your subscriptions, your liking of these videos do go a long way to help us, continue to bring great content to you as it pertains to Jacksonville real estate. That being said, the first thing we're going to look at for this market update is we're going to look at how many homes were pending in October compared to how many homes are actually on the market in October. What we can see though is we can see there's 240 homes that were pending compared to overall 1,323 homes on the market. That left us with 1,083 homes still for sale as we exited October. It seems like a lot of homes, but Mandarin is an area where you're going to see a lot of activity like that. So not unsurprising that we see that. But ultimately, what we're going to pull from this is we're going to look at how many homes are pending versus the amount of homes on the market, which included the pendings, which gives us our pending-list ratio. In this case was 18.1% for Mandarin. So 18.1%, what that means is that the market is somewhat slow in Mandarin. Not unsurprisingly, because this time of year tends to be a somewhat slower time of the year. Seasonality trends in Jacksonville tend to tell us that the market will slow down in September when school starts. We'll see an uptick in December for Homestead. But for the most part, from September through really about the first day of March, tends to be our slower months of the year. That can be for many different reasons. Some understood, maybe some not always thought about. But school starts in September, that tends to slow things down. We also tend to see, the peak hurricane season in August, September, October, which does not help real estate here in Jacksonville. Although I will say Jacksonville doesn't tend to really see those storms as much as maybe other parts of the state. And then obviously at the end of the year too, we have holidays like Thanksgiving and Christmas that people aren't necessarily looking to buy a house. They're looking to, get with family or, buy presents for the family for those holidays. Now for this specific year too, we did have elections, we do have higher rates. So those are just all different factors that really tend to lead to the end of the year being a little bit of a slower time. So to see, the inventory being described as somewhat slow is not surprising with all things considered. Now when we take a closer look, we do see that homes in that $400,000 to $500,000 price range did make up the majority, or not majority, but the relatively largest amount of homes pending. Again, not surprising. This is going to be an area that's going to have a lot of first-time home buyers. It's going to have a lot of second home buyers where they bought their first home in Mandarin. They're looking to kind of upsize now to that $400,000 to $500,000 price point. And so that's why we do see those are the most homes under contract when we're looking at a specific price point for the area. It also is understood or makes sense why that's also makes up the largest amount of homes still on the market for sale at 278 listings. Again, very popular price point, and that just tends to be where the ideal price point is for the area. Unless obviously if you are at higher price points, there are still plenty of options for you there as well. If you are at lower price points, you may not see as many options because of the fact that the area does tend to support more of that $400,000 to $500,000 price range more than it does below it. Now, when we look at all homes that were for sale, the median list price of all homes in the area was $568,500. So what that tells us is that there's more homes at those higher price points than at the lower price points, which is what's bumping that number higher than what the highest range of active homes is, which is that $400,000 to $500,000 range. Again, Mandarin has homes that are on the water, which is going to always cause that price point to bump up some because those waterfront properties here are going to put you in that $1 million to $2 million to $3 million range for the area. The next thing we're going to look at is this table or this graph. What this graph is going to kind of tell is it's just going to kind of show us how many homes were under contract compared to how many homes are still on the market in October. And what you can see here, it's pretty easy to tell, but homes between 400,000 and 600,000 are going to have a lot more homes for sale than the homes going under contract. So ultimately what that's telling us is that there is a lot of supply for homes in those ranges, but not enough demand to meet that supply, which is going to typically probably lead us to the idea that it's not necessarily a seller's market right now in those areas. Now, what we want to look at in future videos for future months is, does that gap widen or does it start to come closer, especially if we do see some rate reductions occur towards the end of this year and beginning of next year, which could help sellers because it allows buyers to afford more. It may help buyers want to re-enter the market again if they're on the sidelines currently. From there, we're going to look at how many homes actually sold in the last 6 months. In this case, we saw there were 1,672 contracts that closed. Of those contracts, the median sold price of them was about $536,000. So we are seeing a median close price that's less than that median list price. Not surprising, because it just does show us that there are people looking those lower price points, and those lower price points are the ones that are going to probably sell more quickly and more often, even if they don't have as much inventory of them. So it's not surprising that median sold price is less. From there, we are going to see that there was 370 listings that failed to sell in the same period, so that 6-month period. Homes failed to sell for multiple different reasons, so 370 is pretty normal for what we see in previous months, but ultimately something we will monitor as we continue through the rest of this year and next year. From there, the next thing we're going to look at is the days on market. So the days on market tell us a lot. It kind of tells us, how long it's taking things to sell, obviously. It also kind of tells us for the homes that are selling versus the homes that are still listed, what that differentiation is. Obviously, if it's a big differentiation, what it's probably telling us is that there are probably sellers that are being more aggressive with their pricing, and for their homes that are in really tip-top condition, they are still selling pretty quickly. And so if your home is not in that tip-top condition, you may be more in that longer time frame to get your home sold for the area. So what we see here is that we saw that there was a median time of market of 69 days for all active homes. So it's taking your home about 2.5 months, or almost 2.5 months to go under contract per what this data is supporting in Mandarin. So you may ask yourself, what can we do to kind of get around that? Well, there's a lot of things you can do. You can improve the condition of the home to make it more attractive to buyers. You could also come in at a price that's more attractive to buyers. Doesn't mean you're necessarily going low in your price, but there is a thought process there that you could potentially go 10, 20, 30,000 under what maybe it should be worth, in the hopes that you do get multiple buyers interested and you get a contract sooner rather than later on the home, maybe even for more than what you're actually listed at. So just something to keep in mind. Now, how does that compare to the homes that sold? Well, for the homes that sold in the last 6 months, we saw that the days on market was 39 days. So homes in general are taking a little bit longer in Mandarin. But in this case, what that tells us that if you are priced a little more maybe appropriately, or your condition just matches that price, that you are going to sell it quicker than the homes that are not selling. So that is something to really keep in mind, because ultimately, if you're trying to get your home sold, quicker, it's important to know what it's going to take to get sold quicker. And then obviously homes in the $100,000 to $200,000 range sold the quickest. Not surprising. Those are going to be your lot listings. Those are going to be your cash buyers. Those are going to be your house that need a lot of updating. So those tend to sell quicker because there's value in that to people. Now, how does the 6 months versus the 1 month data compare to each other? Are we seeing homes sell quicker now than they did in a 6 month window? Are they selling for more now than a 6 month window? Well, in this case, they're doing neither. They're actually taking longer to sell. They're taking 56 days to sell, and they are selling for less. So they're selling for about $503,000, compared to $536,000. So ultimately, what this has kind of shown us is it's shown us that the market has started to say, okay, we've hit our high for now. Until rates come back down, we got to come back down on price to get buyers more attracted to the idea of buying a home right now. And so ultimately, that we are seeing prices decrease. We're also seeing days on market increase despite that decrease, just because of the seasonality trends that we tend to see this time of year. So ultimately, if you are looking to sell right now, it's very important to be very careful how you price your home, because if you don't price it appropriately, you may be on the market way longer than you think, and you may end up actually having to come down even further than you may think on your price to get it sold. Now, the median listed sales ratio for the area was 97.6%. So you may ask yourself, hey, why is that still so high despite prices coming down? Well, that is still pretty high because of the fact that it does not take into account the initial list price of homes, only what it was when we went under contract, and it does not take into account any concessions on those homes. So if a seller did offer up or did provide, say, 3% of the purchase price towards buyer's closing costs, that's not going to show up here. So that 97.6% could be in some cases 94%, which is a big difference when you're talking about the price of the house. Again, every 3% on that is $3,000 for every $100,000. So $15,000 or $500,000 house, that's $15,000 off your price, not including what your price reduction may have to be to get under contract. The absorption rate, though, as well, was 3.9 months for the last 6 months. 3.9 months means that we are starting to go into a slightly, seller's market, almost equilibrium market. So just keep in mind, if you are looking to buy or sell, that there are more options, and so you have to be more aggressive in your pricing. And as a buyer, you have more options, so you can be more aggressive in your offers. And then lastly, the table here, what it's going to show us, it's going to show us at different price points what that absorption rate is. Is it more of a buyer's market or a seller's market? And as you can see, at the lower price points, it's still going to be a seller's market because Mandarin is still a very popular area. But as we go into higher price points, you're going to see more yellows and oranges, which tells it's more of an equilibrium or buyer's market at those price points. So all that being said, if you have any questions, in the description of this video is a link to my calendar where you can set a time for us to meet face-to-face or through Zoom. Or next to that's also my phone number where you can call or text me if you have any questions. It's always my goal is to answer any questions you have about the market here in Jacksonville, specifically Mandarin. And if you're looking to buy or sell, help you however I can to find that next house or sell your current house for top dollar or get the best deal possible, because at the end of the day, my goal is to make sure that you are as happy as you can be with the process once it's done. For me, I like to build that relationship with you and really help you throughout the process and after the process is over with for you and your family. So with that being said, I will see you guys in our next market update video for Mandarin. Until then,